All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Declan O'Flaherty. Today, I am here with Andre Tessier, President and CEO of Delta Resources. Andre, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks, Declan. Yourself?
Doing well, thank you. Excellent. So, to start, why don't we talk a little bit more about your career and kind of what has led up to this point, and then lead into why you ended up deciding to take over the reins of Delta Resources. So, if you wouldn't mind filling us in.
We're gonna delve into ancient history here. I I started my career in the mid '80s, and what really attracted me to geology is the dichotomy of field work and office work. I've always loved the outdoors, but at the same time, it's nice to be in the office every once in a while. So that this career sort of allowed me to do both. So enrolled in engineering and geological engineering in '82, and started my career in '85. The other big factor for me was that it allowed me to travel a fair bit.
Right.
I consulted for 13 years where I was working internationally, and Canadian geologists are known all over the world, and our mineral exploration industry is known all over the world. So it's an easily exportable talent.
Right.
So I was able to accomplish that as well. Now, what led me to Delta Resources? Well, the stars aligned, I guess, partially. I used to run a company called Mergor Resources for nearly 13 years, and after Delta merged, not Delta, but Mergor merged with another company, I joined the Ontario Geological Survey, and I was a resident geologist. But my heart's always been into mineral exploration. It's just when it gets into your system, you can't get it out.
Mhm.
So I got an opportunity to start with Delta at the very beginning in June of 2019, and I jumped on that opportunity because the treasure hunt you just can't get away from. So
Right.
now it's just finding a mine is
Right.
the big objective.
Right. Well, just a quick return to what you were saying there. When you're doing your geological engineering degree, are you focused and specializing on certain minerals, or does it span across the broad range of minerals and resources that exist within Canada and beyond?
Well, the geology degree it really focuses on geology, as a whole,
Right.
and one of the other reasons that I liked it is I remember reading a book on plate tectonics, and I just thought it was absolutely fascinating. Once in geology, the mineral exploration side was more attractive to me, and I actually went at Queen's University, did a master's to sort of zoom in on economic geology and exploration. So that's where I got specialized. I'm not sure if the new degrees in university are the same. If geology is still as general as it was, it probably is, or geological engineering in my case.
Mhm.
But once you start working, you know where you want to go.
Right. It starts to compound. So before we dive into Delta, just one last question on perhaps more Mergor a little bit more is what was kind of one takeaway from your time there with the company, and what did you learn that maybe has helped you apply to this new company?
This is a good question. There's a lot of stuff that I've learned. One is never try to predict the markets, because it's a dead end. You just don't know. So the main thing is you have a plan, you execute on your plan, and that way, you can have success or you don't have success, one or the other, but you did exactly what you said you would do, and that's what I try to apply at Delta whenever we say we're going to drill 10,000 meters of drill core. We accomplish that, and we accomplish that the best that we can. Geology is such that sometimes you hit and sometimes you don't, but nobody can ever fault you for doing what you said you would do, what you
Right.
planned that you had done. The other things I learned is that with Murgor, we had a few properties in northern Manitoba, and the putting out a resource estimate or drilling a deposit to put a resource estimate is an expensive venture,
Right.
and it requires an awful lot of drilling. So I think before you get to that point, you want to make sure that you've got a true economic deposit on you. So that's something I'm applying right now at our Delta One property.
No, excellent. You can really see it unfolding that way. And so now let's really dive into the business itself. And so maybe you can provide just a brief overview of Delta Resources and its main Delta One project, and then we can dive deeper into the business.
Sure. Well, Delta Resources is a Canadian mineral exploration company. We trade under DLTA on the Venture Exchange in Toronto. We've got a market cap now of about $22 million Canadian. Our main focus right now in 2022, we made a very significant gold discovery just west of Thunder Bay, and our main focus has been now to prove that this deposit is economic and to basically show how large this gold resource can be.
Right.
So that is the dominant focus of Delta Resources right now.
Right. And so leading up to the start of the actual project and everything, we talk a lot about when we're talking about Delta Resources is the Shebandowan Greenstone belt. So perhaps you could shed light on this region within Canada and beyond and what initially attracted you to it.
When Delta started in June 2019, our investors had a mandate, or they mandated me, I should say, to find at least a few properties and high potential properties in Canada, and to be drilling them by the end of that year. No small task, no pressure. Um, but we started looking at a property in northern Quebec, which is now our Delta 2 property. But while we were doing our due diligence on Delta 2, we were looking for someone to do some mechanical trenching. And there's this gentleman in the Thunder Bay area that's very, very good at what he does. And contacted him, told him that we were Delta, we're a new company, and we were looking for properties. And he basically recommended that we talk to a geologist and prospector by the name of Doug Parker, who owned what is now the Delta One property. So we visited that property in September of 2019. We signed the deal in October. Early October, and a month later, we drilled a short program of about 1,000 meters, all in 2019. What attracted me to the property per se is the very large scale alteration that I could see when we went out there and did our due diligence. The rocks are intensely altered. Every rock type is altered over a very large area. You can get large alteration zones without deposits,
Okay.
but you don't get large deposit without these large alteration zones. So when we combine that to the fact that every sample that we collected at the time returned with anomalous gold, we felt that this had the real potential of being a large deposit. Just needed to drill it, because obviously Doug at that time was looking for a partner, and he had not done any drilling. Now when we turned around and looked at the Greenstone belt as a whole, what really struck me is how little exploration was done there compared to other greenstone belts in Canada.
Right.
The Greenstone, there's one mine, or there was one operating mine in Shebandowan, and it was a copper nickel mine owned by Inco. Inco was a very large company, had a stronghold on most of that belt for a very long time. The belt was known for a copper nickel belt, and all the exploration was directed at copper nickel, or the great majority of the exploration.
Right.
And it's not the same exploration that you do for gold. So to me, it meant that the property itself, the Delta One property, really had the potential of some hidden gems there that just hadn't been explored properly or in depth.
Well, and it's pretty clear, like right away, as you mentioned, you started drilling, and within 2020, you already had found some significant gold mineralization. And since then, you've drilled 115 holes in more than 36,000 meters. So it speaks to the level that you guys have taken it since acquiring the property itself. And then just going back a few questions earlier, you mentioned this large or accumulation of a deposit known as the Eureka Gold Deposit. So perhaps you could speak more about the Eureka Gold Deposit and what you have found there and what you are planning to uncover in the future.
Sure. Well, as of this morning, we're actually at 116 drill holes on the
Hmm.
property. We finished our first one from 2025 because we are currently drilling a 10,000 meter program. Um, the discovery was made in late 2022, or what we consider to be the discovery drill hole. We intersected 5.92 grams over 31 meters, and since then, we've continued drilling. That was on drill hole number 18th. So technically, we don't even have a full 100 drill holes into the deposit.
Right.
But what we have so far is we've outlined this deposit over 2.5 kilometers of strike length, right from surface to a vertical depth of about 300 meters. And the deposit is anywhere, up to, I should say, 150 meters of true width. So what we've done is we've essentially outlined a target even within this area, because there's still room to expand both laterally and at depth. But so far we've outlined a target that that could potentially hold up to 1.2 to 2.2 million ounces of gold at a grade of 1.05 grams per ton
Right.
to 1.37 grams per ton gold. So it's a large deposit,
Mm.
and what really sets it apart is the fact that we're right adjacent to infrastructure.
Right.
The deposit itself is right next to the Trans-Canada Highway, and I mean like 25 meters. I don't
Mm.
mean a kilometer.
Right.
It's right next to the Trans-Canada Highway. It sits on a topographic high, so there's no streams or rivers or lakes anywhere nearby. Most of the area has been clear cut already, so environmentally it's not a very sensitive area. There's two power lines on the property right now, but there's a third one that's being built by Ontario Hydro. So all of that infrastructure, that proximity, and we're 45 minutes away from the city of Thunder Bay, which is a port city on Lake Superior. So all of this means that our capital expenditure, when the time comes to put this deposit into production, is going to be at a minimum. And our capital, our environmental assessment should be, really fast, or should be as fast as it possibly can, because again, we're not in a pristine area. We're, the highway's right there, and most of it's been logged, and there's no streams, river that can be an environmental obstacle. So it's a large new deposit in the best possible location that you can find.
Right. Prime location, yeah. And then, like you said, coupled with the extent of the deposit itself, it really speaks to it. So that can kind of shift into the next question here, which is about over the recent period, you've really rapidly expanded your total land claim and acquisitions and making various acquisitions. And your total land claim now is 30,800 hectares. So maybe you can speak into why you made or what led to that strategic decision, and how do you think it will benefit shareholders and the company overall?
That's a good question, and yeah, since our discovery in 2022, we decided to expand the property. We went from 45 square kilometers to, like you said, 308 square kilometers.
Right.
It's a very large property. Uh, for several reasons. One is, we identified areas in the belt that have similar geological setting as the Eureka deposit, and again, that had not really been explored very, very thoroughly. So that was interesting to us. The second reason, as you can imagine, when we started, putting out our results, there is a lot of interest from intermediate and major gold producers in the industry. So we're under CA right now with 9 different companies that are, taking a look at our deposit. So um, they one sort of topic that came multiple times is the fact that at the time our land position was not quite as large as they would like, and we knew that major companies like to have a lot of space and a lot of potential for more deposits. So we went on an acquisition phase,
Mhm.
and we're extremely happy where we are right now. We've identified very large structures in the southern portion of the expanded properties that have very, very similar geological setting as the Eureka deposit. And we figure if we can find this deposit right next to the Trans-Canada Highway, if we venture 5 kilometers inland, chances are we'll have some luck there as well.
Right on. So, as you mentioned, you are looking to some extent for a similar geographical makeup, or sorry, geological makeup. Is there anything else in terms of features that you're looking for when it comes to these properties? Or is that ultimately like the goal is you have this expectation that the surrounding area is filled with similarities, and since it has been largely underexplored, that you're going to unlock the potential that it possesses. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
We, you know, we know, or we're way more comfortable now with the controls and the mineralization at the Eureka deposit,
Right.
and basically applying that geological setting or those controls elsewhere in the belt is a good way to find highly prospective areas. We've outlined, like I said, 3 different structures to the south in the southern portion of our deposit. They
Hmm.
have very significant gold occurrences already, so we know they are endowed in gold, and that was the main factor, I guess, or the
Okay.
main direction that we were taking. Another one that we felt was important as well is to have contiguous ground, and that 308 square kilometers is largely all contiguous, which really simplifies our life in terms of administering the exploration and expenditures.
Gotcha. So lots of potential overall. And now, kind of shifting focus a little bit. So, more recently, you guys raised $5 million approximately through a charity flow through financing. And you also mentioned a 2025 drill program. So, I was curious what that capital was being planned to use for. And then, as well as what are kind of the objectives of this 2025 drill program that you mentioned?
All right. Well, we raised $5 million charity flow through, and you can't explore if you don't have any money. So
Right.
that's the rationale.
Right.
Right now, we just started a 10,000 meter drill program at the Eureka deposit. So the objective of this initial program is to explore at the deposit scale and the immediate vicinity of the deposit. And
Gotcha.
what that's going to do for us is it will increase the gold inventory of the deposit, and it should show investors and major and intermediate producers alike that there's potential there for a 5 million ounce deposit,
Right.
which is often the threshold that these majors need to pull the trigger.
Right.
Let's be realistic. Our end game here at Delta is not to mine the deposit ourselves.
Right.
We're damn good explorers, but we're not miners.
Right.
And the idea is to get the interest of one of these majors or intermediate producers, and get them to take a big chunk of the pie and carry us to production.
Gotcha. So highlight the true potential of the deposit itself. And then, as you mentioned as well, just speaks to the economics and low capex opportunity that exists, just how close it is to existing infrastructure as well as Thunder Bay, right?
Correct, correct.
Awesome.
Now, this first phase of drilling is 10,000 meters. We
Right.
drilled for about $250 a meter
Okay.
Canadian, all inclusive.
Right.
So that only takes half of the budget for this year. We
Gotcha.
are right now doing or we finished doing some till geochemistry
Okay.
and some surface geophysics as well to enhance, I guess, the precision of our targeting. So that's also budgeted, and then come Q3 of 2025, we will likely look at the property scale as well,
Gotcha.
and try to develop some of these new targets and see if potentially we have 1, 2, or 3 Eurekas at the property scale.
Right. So more capital and more flexibility to really see the true potential of the total land package eventually as well, correct?
Exactly.
Awesome.
And all of this exploration program is fully funded at this time.
Excellent. Well, this will be kind of the last main question I ask is part of this charity flow through financing and largely in general, the Delta Resource Management team has taken a sizable stake in the company and they also participated in the recent charity flow through financing. And so I was curious just what does that high level of insider ownership speak to kind of your conviction in the business and the project at large? And then why do you think that is important for shareholders to understand?
It's a good point. Yeah, our last financing was largely, I think, more than 50% subscribed by insiders of the company.
Yeah,
And really what that shows is that we truly believe in our product. We truly believe that the Delta One property will eventually become a mine and will be a huge success. I think by showing shareholders, our current shareholders, that we are aligned with them, that
right.
we are vested in this property. We're not only here to collect a salary. Well, the salary is all nice, but eventually the idea is that Delta shareholders will truly profit from that, and we want to be participants in that in those profits, of course. So we believe in what we have, and we're just showing shareholders that we have that belief.
Well, there's no way or better way to put it, I think. And as you've mentioned since the get go, it's about setting out those objectives and ultimately delivering on those. And then, as you're saying now, is backing it with your own beliefs and convictions to really truly align with shareholders. So I think it speaks a lot to you as well as the rest of the Delta Resources management team and what you guys are doing. So just to close things out now, I know we've talked about it a lot, your 2025 drill program and kind of the objectives that have been laid out in this coming year. But is there anything more that you would like to speak about in terms of what you're excited about for Delta Resources and what's going on in 2025?
Listen, this 10,000 meter program is going to be testing. The more you drill on the deposit, the more knowledge you have, or the more knowledge that you think you have. We've we've now worked on this thing for 3 years, since 2022.
Right,
We are getting more and more confident about the controls and the geometry of the mineralization.
right,
And this drill program will be testing this, not only from within the envelope that I described, that's already been outlined by our 116 drill holes,
right,
but we're going to be venturing outside of this area to really show the markets that this is a big deposit. It's a big
right.
system, and I think once we do that, the sky is going to be the limit. I think I'm personally extremely excited about testing these new ideas and proving the geometry of this thing.
Right.
So
And
that's how excited we are.
well, and to that point too, your website does a great job of laying out all the historical data too. So not only do you guys have the information, but potential investors can really go look into that. And so I was just kind of curious, is there any other resources or places that shareholders should be or potential shareholders should be looking to learn more about the company?
Well, that's a good point, Declan. All of our results since the get-go
Mhm.
are listed on our website. So
Right.
every drill hole has the intercepts that we documented. So anybody can go in there and do those with some knowledge can do their calculations.
Right.
So we're being very transparent that way, and that's www.deltaresources.ca. So that's our website. Our direct phone numbers are right onto that website. So if you and on our press releases.
Right.
So if anybody's interested, just pick up the phone and give us a call. We'd be happy to take you through what we have.
Right. Well, it certainly sounds like the Delta One project holds a lot of potential. It has great economics and near proximity to infrastructure. And now we've got a 2025 drill program with more than 10,000 meters planned in the short term, anyways, and then plenty more in the future. So, Andre, it was a pleasure to speak to you today. And before we kind of close things off, is there any last final words you'd like to say?
Stay tuned.
Stay
We've
tuned.
got lots of news on the way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to having another conversation in the future.
Thanks very much, Declan. Appreciate it.